Hey guys, it's Philip with Royal Range USA here in Nashville, Tennessee. So today I want to talk to you about something that we have all done, whether you're just getting into the sport or you've been around for a long time and you're an avid shooter. And that is, of course, loading magazines. We've all been there. We all know the story of having that permanent indentation on your thumb, having them black and gold from loading brass all day long. So we all know the story and we've all been there. But there's some pretty useful tools out there to help you be a little bit more efficient in loading your magazine and kind of to save your thumb. Two of which that I want to talk about today are going to be specifically the ETS C.A.M. magazine loader and the Maglula or Maglula universal magazine loader. Both of these are going to be 4 pistols and mostly double stack magazines. I will note later on kind of some of the differences between the two. But first I want to talk about the ETS magazine and one of the benefits of the ETS magazine. Now, what makes this unique and a little bit different than the Maglula is the way it's designed, of course, with this little sleeve here and this little rail that's going to help you pick up ammunition out of a box of ammunition. And that's really where this is going to be the most useful. If you're used to loading your ammunition from prepackaged boxes of ammo like Blazer Brass or Remington or whatever you shoot, there's tons of different options out there, then you're going to be pretty familiar with these little caddies, these little organizers that are going to keep all your ammunition kind of nice and neat in your box and keep them organized. And that's where the ETS speed loader is going to be the most useful, is in using these kind of caddies to load your magazine. So let's talk about how this works real quick. So it's different in the sense that the magazine fits inside of it, similar to the Maglula, but you're going to have a shelf right here that's angled. And this rail captures all the ammunition, forces it down with a little trolley here, or a little pusher. That ammunition is pressed against this rail, pressed down and into the magazine, and allows you to kind of just strip off those rounds into your magazine pretty quickly. Now, one thing I will say about the ETS, and you may see it on some of these magazines, it's a little bit more finicky, and one of the reasons for that is you are dealing with angles of your magazine can vary from different gun. What I mean by that is, you know, each gun can have a slightly different grip angle, and that's going to affect the angle of the feed lips of each of your magazines. So it can be a little bit more finicky than some of your other speed loaders, and you may see that when we're loading some of the magazines, but if you find the right combination, this thing is lightning fast in loading magazines out of boxed ammunition. So to give you a little example, we'll use this Glock 33, and we have a couple different magazines that we have here, and I'll run through them real quick. We have an ETS smoke magazine. We have, I believe this is a 320 magazine. This is a CZ75. This is a Smith & Wesson M&P. This is a Springfield XD magazine, and this is going to be a 226 magazine. And then we actually have 2 kind of wild cards up here, which is going to be a Shield magazine and a Glock 43. All of these are going to be 9mm magazines, but this is also rated up to a 40 caliber, the ETS. One of the tips ETS has is on that ramp is to take a little Q-tip with some oil and put some oil on that ramp. And that's going to help obviously lubricate the process of the rounds hitting that ramp and sliding into the magazine. So to give you an example, take the tray of ammo, kind of bring it up to a table, and then slide it into the back of the casing, and then it should just pick up the ammunition. That's 10 rounds. I find bracing the magazine against my chest or my sternum or something like that gives you good tension on it and allows you to kind of shove those in. You have your little shuttle here that's going to push that ammunition in. That's 10 rounds in less than a second. So it's very, very quick. Let's try some of the other magazines and just run through them. Let's go to the 226 magazine next. This one has been a little finicky. I've got it to work quite a few times, and then sometimes it won't. So let's see if it'll work this time. That one had no problem. So 226 magazine. This is an XD magazine. Another tip with this one, and it's a kind of a mistake that I've made a few times, is you're gonna want to kind of take it and just grab them and then put them in the magazine. Don't do that. It's just gonna fall out, and then you're gonna have ammunition sitting all over the floor. I've done it a few times, and it's part of the learning process. So we're just all growing a lot right now. So XD magazine, put in the bottom of this thing. Some of them are easier to fit in than others. Give it a good tap. I always try to make sure that it's seated real high up in the magazine. Strip off another 10 rounds. 10 rounds in, that went well. Smith & Wesson M&P magazine. 10 rounds. 10 rounds. Then this is a CZ75. This thing has worked awesome with a CZ75. It's probably been the best one in loading. 10 rounds. Grab another little caddy of ammo. This is a 320 magazine, SIG 320 magazine. Easy enough. And then the ETS smoke magazine from ETS. These are pretty cool, obviously, because you can see through them and see how many you have loaded. Simple. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 70 rounds that we loaded in probably less than a minute, minute and a half. So it's a very quick process in stripping them out of the caddy, putting them on the magazine, and kind of just shoving them in there. So that's the ETS magazine. I want to compare that to the Maglula or the Uplula magazine. I found the naming different on a couple different packaging. But anyway, this is really cool. It's a lot smaller. It was one of the things that I would recommend about this is it's a pretty small in size. It has this shelf that kind of moves back and forth, and you have a lock, so you can actually lock it in place and throw it into a range bag. I usually keep one of these in a range bag with me pretty much all the time, and they're pretty useful. Unlock it, and the way that it works is we'll use this ETS magazine. Same thing. It's going to slide into the mag loader just like that. I usually just brace it against the table, push this shelf over the feed lips and over the round, and then press down. You'll see that it's going to press that round down into the magazine and leave you enough of space to put that next round in. From here, you let go of the shelf, kind of let it rise up, and then press down again. And you just kind of repeat this process. The real advantage to this one is if you're not using the caddy. And if you're anything like me, this is how I usually load my ammo. I have a big box of ammo. It's usually cheaper that way. You can buy a couple thousand rounds at a time, and it usually nets down to a little bit cheaper. So this is usually how I buy my ammunition. So that being said, if you have a bunch of loose ammo, this ETS magazine isn't going to be as useful, in my opinion, as the Maglula. Because with the Maglula, I'll grab my 320 magazine. I can just grab a handful of ammunition, grab a few rounds, kind of organize them in my hand as I go, and load this magazine up. Very simple, not very hard. It could be considered slightly slower, but this is much more universal, and it's not finicky, which is one of the things I like. You can fit this thing over pretty much any magazine, 9 to 45, which is one of the advantages the Uplula has over the ETS, is you can shoot 45, or you can load 45 with it. And the process is very simple. The other advantage that you have with the Uplula is a lot simpler when it comes to loading single stack magazines. This is a shield magazine. As long as you get your shelf in the right place, in between the lips and onto the follower, it presses it down just fine. And you can take this ammunition and load your single stacks. You can load a single stack magazine in ETS. I've seen it done, and there's a bunch of videos online of some guys doing it. But I found it's kind of finicky. You have to make sure, because of the space in the bottom of the ETS loader, you have to make sure the magazine is just going to be perfectly centered right where you need it to be to feed. And I found this to be more difficult than it is a help. So I would really view this as a single stack, or a double stack rather, speed loader. If you get it working right, guys, this thing is phenomenal. And it will load magazines, like I said, the 75, the Glock magazines. You can load the ammunition. It's one of the fastest ways to do it. There's no doubt about it. And it's really, really useful. And the prices for them are simple. I mean, it's $25 for this one and around $30 for the Maglula. So I really view having both of them is not unrealistic, because even with my buying ammunition in bulk, I still end up with boxes of ammunition all the time. But let us know what you guys think. Let us know what mag loader you prefer or what you like, and let us know in the comments below. If you like these videos, guys, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe to them. And thanks for watching. We appreciate you guys watching. This is Philip with Royal Range USA here in Nashville, Tennessee. Make sure you guys are safe out there.